Good morning, guys. Grady's Mom here with Cooking Series Volume 15. This is a recipe I found on Pinterest for BLT pasta salad. I have made something like this before, but just not exactly this. The reason why this particular pin intrigued me so much was that it calls for both ranch and Italian. And it's one of those things when I read that, I almost kicked myself, like, why didn't I think of that? Because it makes perfect sense. When I've made this pasta salad in the past, I've used just Hidden Valley Ranch without the Italian. And I found it to be a little bit too creamy for my liking, and I do love ranch. It just didn't really appeal to me that much. So this pin called for both ranch and Italian dressing, which all the reviews say it's great, and I'm looking for something that I can serve both as a side dish with some grilled chicken, as well as put the rest in some Tupperwares portioned out to have, you know, to throw in my husband's lunches or a quick lunch for myself. So it is only a 7-ingredient recipe. You're going to need bacon. You're going to need the ranch and Italian. It does call for Kraft. Now, if you have other brands, I'm assuming that would be the same concept, but it won't be exactly the same as what I'm going to be making today. So again, buttermilk ranch and then the zesty Italian. You're going to need some romaine. You can just get regular romaine. You can get the pre-washed and cut like I have. You're going to need 2 large tomatoes. You're going to need a red onion. You're going to need some farfalle or bow tie pasta and some salt and pepper. So as you can see, 7 ingredients, not too bad. And again, I like that you can use this as a lunch, a side dish, or just go to town and have the whole thing for dinner. Another thing I thought would be good to make it more meal-ish is if you have some leftover cut up like rotisserie chicken or leftover chicken breasts that was marinated or something, you could chop that up and just add that right in. It would make it sort of like a chicken BLT pasta salad. So I'm really excited to try this one out. I'm going to go ahead and get my bacon here onto baking sheets and baking in the oven. I'm not going to show that because most people know how to put bacon in an oven, so I'm just going to bake this off and get it crispy. I don't pan fry bacon anymore because it makes too big of a mess. So I'll be back shortly to show you guys how we assemble this. Okay guys, so just an update. I have a big pot of salted water that I have on high. I'm just waiting for that to come to a boil. I have my farfalle pasta in this colander, just waiting to drop in when this starts boiling. I have my cutting board set up. I have my bacon that is fully cooked, that is in paper towels. I have to chop this up along with the lettuce, tomato, and onion, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready to do that right now. Alright, so in the Pinterest recipe, it says that some people don't add the lettuce into the salad because it gets mushy. So I was thinking about that, and I think what I am going to do is follow that rule. So I am still going to get my romaine shredded all up, kind of in ribbon shape, but I am going to put it in this separate bowl. And then I will show you when I plate up the pasta salad how I'm going to incorporate the lettuce in. Now, it does say that some people put the lettuce right in and mixed it right in and had no problems. So in this case, you're just going to have to use your judgment. I personally am not a fan of soggy lettuce. Some people aren't bothered by that. So I am just going to personally go with my gut and just put the lettuce separate. So I'm just chopping my lettuce up pretty small because I don't want a big, huge chunks of lettuce in my salad. And you can do the lettuce as small or as large as you want. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and get it in this glass separate container and just keep my lettuce separate. Looks like I'm going to need some more lettuce as well. So I'm just going to keep chopping up my lettuce, and I will show you guys after that where we go from here. Okay guys, so lettuce is chopped up and in the fridge. I'm going to work on my tomato next, and I'll just show you how I do one. I'm going to use 2 large tomatoes, and then I'll do the other one off camera. So I'm just going to kind of cut them up a bit. And again, it's really preference how large or small you want to cut your veggies. Some people like a more chunky veggie in pasta salads, and some people like them smaller. I think I'm just maybe somewhere in the middle. And I have a big bowl here that I don't know if you guys can see in the on the picture. But I'm gonna put I'm just dropping my tomatoes into the bowl. So, just gonna do this piece and just very rough chopping. Nothing fancy here. Like that. I hear my water going, so I'm gonna drop my pasta. Put my timer on. So my pasta is working while I am working on the tomatoes. I like to always be multitasking when it comes to cooking. I always feel like if you can have 2 different things going at one time, why not do it if you can? So again, just a real rough chop. Okay, so I think you guys get the point. So I'm just gonna keep chopping these tomatoes. I'm gonna chop the other one, and then I'll show you what it looks like after we're done. Okay, so my tomatoes are all chopped. Next up, the bacon. And I cooked this all off this morning. I baked it, and then I had to run out the door, so I just threw it in a big Ziploc with some paper towel to soak up any extra grease. So I'm just gonna rough chop this. I am gonna keep the bacon a little bit on the chunkier side. But again, also personal preference. I'm gonna keep it a little bit chunky. It just smells so good. It was so hard this morning to not eat half of this pile, because I could have. It's gonna be so yummy for lunch and for dinner as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. If there's some bigger pieces, you can just kind of weed them out and right into the bowl. Looks yummy. Last up, I'm gonna do half of a red onion. I'm just gonna stir my pasta quickly. Okay, so pasta has about 5 minutes left. Now, the onion, guys, you're gonna wanna do the onion very fine. That's just what it says in the recipe, and I would have to say I agree, just because I wouldn't want, since it's huge, you know, since it's raw onion, you wouldn't want huge chunks in there. So it does say to cut the onion pretty fine. And I know everybody's definition of fine is a little bit varied, but I'm gonna do pretty fine. And I actually love red onion in cold salads. I actually prefer red onion in cold salads when it's gonna be raw. I just think it has a more pleasant flavor when it's raw. And I just love onions. And I saved the onion for last so it doesn't sting my eye. So I'm just gonna keep doing this to the other piece, and I will show you the bowl before I do anything further. Okay guys, so I have the 2 large tomatoes, the half the red onion, and the pound of bacon. And this bowl is just gonna wait on me now. I'm gonna go ahead and make the dressing and drain my pasta. Okay guys, so I just dropped my hot pasta into the colander. This step is very important. You're gonna wanna shock it, which is just cold water. So I'm gonna grab a spoon real quick. Definitely cold water. Use your spoon to move all the pasta around, because this is a very important step. You don't want to not do this, because your pasta will continue to cook even though it's not in the water. So by shocking it with the cold water, it both stops the cooking process as well as cools the noodles down. I think I'm actually going to go in with my hands, which are clean by the way, just to get a better hold on making sure I'm getting all the pasta. And definitely spend a good minute or 2 doing this, because you'll thank yourself later. The pasta will be nice and firm, it'll be nice and cool, and it'll just taste a lot better. Another thing is it won't stick together in big clumps, because it'll stop cooking, so it'll have no reason to stick together. And just make sure you get all underneath. That looks pretty well shocked. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this sit and hang out while I get my dressing assembled. Okay guys, so time to make the dressing, which arguably is one of the most important parts. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, I've made this type of salad before, but I only used ranch, and I did not use the Kraft ranch. I used the Hidden Valley. Normally I would use Hidden Valley, but this particular pin calls specifically for Kraft ranch, so I'm thinking there's a reason why. I know that this ranch is thinner, so it calls for a 1/2 cup of the Kraft buttermilk ranch, so I have a 2-cup measuring cup here. So I'm going to go ahead and get it right to the 1/2 cup line, and not a smidge more. Next, it calls for 1 cup of the specifically Kraft Zesty Italian. So this calls for 1 cup of this, guys, the Zesty Italian. I'm just shaking it up a little bit. So I'm going to fill this up till it hits the 1.5 cup mark. So it looks like there's quite a bit more of the Italian. So it's a 1/2 cup versus a full cup. And I did think it seemed odd to mix a creamy dressing with a oil-based dressing at first, but now that I think about it, it actually makes sense, because when I made this recipe, it was a different pin a while back. It was too creamy for me. It was just too thick for me, and it kind of turned me off. Now this looks a lot thinner already because of the fact that we're using double the amount of the oil-based dressing. So I'm just kind of mixing it all up. Hopefully you guys can see the consistency a little bit. See how it's not really thick? Like if it was all ranch, it wouldn't roll off the spoon as easily. So I'm liking this consistency a lot. So that looks pretty well combined, actually. It didn't take much at all. So let me go ahead and show the angle of getting this all kind of combined together. Okay guys, so we have the bowl with the tomatoes, the onions, and the bacon. I'm just getting any extra water out of my pasta. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to add about half the pasta in so far, okay? Because I don't want my bowl to overflow on me. And I'm going to go ahead and get a good amount of the dressing poured right on top. That was about 3/4 of the dressing, for anybody who's curious. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start combining this. So I'm going to do it in sort of batches, just because I want to prevent an overflow in the bowl. Smells really good, and actually the bacon, of course, is the star. Because how can bacon not be a star? Again, I'm choosing not to add the lettuce, okay? I will show you how I'm going to incorporate the lettuce, but I personally think if I added all that lettuce in here, it would be soggy, and that would just not appeal to me. I'm very specific about textures and things, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the pasta in. This makes a pretty good amount, guys, as you can see. This is a big bowl. I'm going to get the rest of the dressing in. Just going to use my spoon here and scrape out the majority of it out of the measuring cup. Looks pretty good. Then I'm just going to fold this batch into the other batch. Now, it might be a tad bit thinner than what it would be if you had all that lettuce in here, because I did chop up about 2 cups of lettuce, romaine lettuce. Ooh, it smells really good though, and I can't wait to try it. I also decided I'm going to add some dried parsley, just for color, just a little bit. I love, I'm a big parsley fan. I think it finishes things really nice, and I like the fresh flavor it gives. So I'm just making sure I get my big spoon here all the way to the bottom. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash here. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'm going to do some black pepper. Remember, this is a big bowl. Just a little bit of salt, because I can always add more. And then I'm going to do some parsley. Not too much, but again, it's a big bowl. One more quick toss, and then I'm going to do a quick taste test just to make sure I don't need more salt or pepper. And when this sits in the fridge for a while, guys, it's going to get nice and cold. It's sort of chilly right now. It's not lukewarm, but it's not what I would call cold either. That looks really good. And it is a little bit wet. Again, when you add the lettuce in, it's going to change that dimension. I'm going to go ahead and grab a noodle here and taste it. Wow, that was good. Oh my gosh, this is a winner. All right, so let me go ahead, get a bowl, and show you how I'm going to plate it up with the lettuce separate. Okay, So I've got my bowl. I'm gonna start by scooping into the bowl the pasta salad. Okay, then I've got my lettuce here, guys, my separate lettuce. I'm just gonna take, I don't know, a few nice pinches, hearty pinches. I'm gonna take a fork and I'm just gonna kind of gently toss the lettuce in. Like that. Okay, so that looks about the consistency that I'd like as far as ratio of lettuce to pasta. And let me tell you, this is a winner. So good. Look at this, guys. So good. Perfect amount of moisture, perfect amount of flavor. I really love that contrast of the Italian dressing with that creaminess of the ranch. I think all I'm gonna add here is just a couple shakes of black pepper and I'm good to go. So look at this massive bowl, guys. There's just so much pasta salad here. I'm so in love with this salad. Okay, so I'm gonna get this in the fridge and it's just gonna kind of get nice and chilly. Tonight we are having this along with some grilled marinated chicken breast on the grill, and whatever's left, which there definitely will be, I will put in a Tupperware for my husband's lunch tomorrow, nice and cold, and then I will have a nice big bowl tomorrow with my lunch. Again, I'm choosing to leave the lettuce separate. That is your call. If you want to put the lettuce in, that's totally up to you, totally optional. So I really hope you guys enjoyed. I have to say, after eating that whole bowl off camera, this has to be in my top 3 favorite all-time Pinterest recipes. It is that good. This is definitely going to become a salad that I bring to barbecues and cookouts in the summertime. It's that good, you guys. I am so remembering to make this one. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this cooking series video. Have a great day, and I will see you guys all very soon. Bye!